I'm 29, and I think I've just made the worst decision of my life, or maybe the smartest, I'm honestly not sure yet. It started 6 weeks ago when my younger brother, Adam, called me up out of nowhere and asked if he could crash at my place for a little while. Adam's the kind of guy who always finds himself in chaotic situations, so this wasn't unusual. What was unusual, though, was the fact that he didn't explain why. He just said he needed to get away from the city, fast. Now, for context, Adam's always been a bit of a golden boy in our family. Charming, funny, way too smart for his own good, but he has this habit of jumping from one crisis to another like he's allergic to peace. Still, he's my little brother, so when he asked to stay with me, I said yes without asking too many questions. Big mistake. The first few days were normal enough. He crashed on my couch, cooked breakfast to say thanks, and even helped me fix the leaky kitchen sink I'd been ignoring for months. He was helpful, pleasant, and surprisingly low-key. I was starting to think maybe this was just a blip in his usual chaos. Maybe, for once, he was actually calming down. Then on the 5th night, I came home from work and found him sitting in the dark in my living room. No lights on. Just staring at the blank TV screen like he'd seen a ghost. When I asked what was going on, he told me he'd seen someone from back then. I didn't know what he meant, but he wouldn't elaborate. He just said, if they come here, don't let them in. No matter what they say. Even if they know your name. I laughed it off at first. Adam's always had a flair for the dramatic, and I figured maybe he owed someone money or got caught up in some ex-girlfriend mess. Nothing new there. But then things started happening. Strange, quiet things. It started with the doorbell ringing in the middle of the night. At first, I thought I imagined it. I was half asleep, the kind of hazy where dreams bleed into reality, but then it rang again, sharp, deliberate, too loud to ignore. I sat up in bed, heart thudding, and reached for my phone. 3:17 a.m. I crept to the living room, expecting Adam to already be on alert. But he wasn't there. The couch was empty. The blanket he usually tossed over himself was crumpled on the floor, like he'd left in a hurry. When I looked through the peephole, no one was there. Just empty porch lights flickering in the dark. I didn't open the door. By morning, Adam still hadn't come back. I was starting to get worried when I found a note slipped under the front door. Just a plain scrap of notebook paper, folded neatly. No name. No handwriting I recognized. It only said one thing. You're not safe. Now I'm not someone who scares easily. I live in a quiet neighborhood, have security cameras installed, and there's literally a police station 5 blocks away. But something about that note, the timing, the vagueness, the fact that Adam was gone without a word, sent my mind spiraling. That day, I tried calling him a dozen times. Straight to voicemail. I messaged him, pinged his location, even tried reaching out to a couple of his friends. Nothing. No one had heard from him since 2 nights ago. By sunset, I was convinced something had happened. I checked the security footage from the night before. And that's when things got worse. At 3:15 a.m., 2 minutes before I woke up, there was someone at the door. But the camera didn't pick up their face. Just a figure, standing completely still, body half hidden in the shadows, staring directly at the lens. And then, after a few seconds, they looked up and waved. I still don't know who it was. But I haven't been sleeping since. By the 3rd day of Adam's disappearance, I stopped pretending I could handle this on my own. I called the police. I told them my brother was missing, explained that he'd come to stay with me, and then just vanished. I even mentioned the note. They were polite but dismissive, said it hadn't been long enough to file a missing person report unless I suspected foul play. I did. I said that. But they didn't take me seriously. That night, I decided to do something I probably shouldn't have. I went through Adam's stuff. He'd left behind a backpack in the closet. Nothing suspicious at first, just some clothes, toiletries, a USB stick, and a crumpled envelope with no return address. Inside the envelope were 3 things. 1. A blurry photo of a man I didn't recognize, sitting on a park bench, circled in red ink. 2. A torn piece of paper with numbers scribbled on it, coordinates, maybe? Or a code. 3. And a printed email with no subject line. The body just said, you have something that doesn't belong to you. We will take it back. No matter who's protecting you. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about Adam running from some angry ex or a debt collector. This was something else, something way darker. I plugged the USB stick into my laptop, and that's when things went from bad to terrifying. There were files. Dozens of them. Images, videos, even audio clips. Most were corrupted or wouldn't open. But the ones that did? They weren't normal. One video showed a man walking through what looked like a warehouse, whispering frantically into his phone, something about a clean site and no survivors. Another file was just 10 seconds of static, then a distorted voice saying my name. Not Adam's. Mine. I don't know how they knew who I was. I shut my laptop and pulled the plug from the wall like it would somehow stop whatever I'd just seen. I could feel my skin crawling. I felt like something was watching me from inside the screen. That night, I dreamed of someone standing at the foot of my bed. And when I woke up, there was dirt on the floor, fresh, damp dirt, right where they'd been standing in the dream. But the door was locked. And I live alone. I started locking every window. Every door. Even the attic hatch. I wasn't taking any chances. Whatever this was, it was real, and it was getting closer. By now I had stopped going to work. I told my boss I had the flu. Not exactly a lie, considering how sick I felt every time I opened Adam's backpack. I couldn't stop thinking about the files, that whisper of my name in a voice that didn't sound human. I needed answers. So I started with the coordinates. I entered them into Google Maps, expecting some remote spot out in the woods or maybe a stretch of highway. But instead, it led me to an abandoned hotel about 2 hours away. I recognized the name instantly, the Green Hollow Inn. It shut down almost 8 years ago after a fire killed 3 guests. The official story was faulty wiring. I remember it because Adam and I had driven past it once during a family trip, and even then he said it gave him bad vibes. I had no intention of going there. Not alone. But the next day, I got a package in the mail, no return address again. Just my name, scrawled in all caps. Inside was a Polaroid photo. It showed me sleeping. In my own bed. From an angle that only made sense if the photographer had been in the room with me. There was a message scribbled at the bottom of the photo. You're already in. I didn't know what that meant. I still don't. But one thing became clear, whoever this was, they weren't waiting for me to come to them. They were already here. And somehow, Adam knew they would be. That night, I set up every camera I had in the house. My phone, my laptop, even an old baby monitor I found in a storage box. I pointed them at the doors, the windows, the hallway. At 3:23 a.m., every screen went black. And then, static. Just before sunrise, I checked the baby monitor. It recorded something. A figure, standing motionless in my hallway. No face, just a tall silhouette, tilting its head slowly, like it was listening. Then it lifted a hand, and pointed at the camera. And smiled. I didn't sleep after that. I couldn't. That morning, I packed a bag, grabbed the envelope and USB, and drove straight to my parents' house an hour away. I didn't even tell them I was coming. I just showed up on the porch with bloodshot eyes and shaking hands, begging to stay the night. They were confused but didn't ask too many questions. Just hugged me and said I looked tired. That first night there was quiet. Too quiet. The next morning, my mom handed me a letter someone had dropped off. Said it was from a friend. It had no stamp, just a small red sticker on the seal in the shape of a triangle. I opened it in my old bedroom with trembling hands. Inside was a single sentence, typed in plain black font. You can run, but your house still remembers you. I nearly dropped the paper. I called a locksmith that afternoon to change all the locks back home. Booked a home security sweep. My parents thought I was being paranoid, maybe going through something emotional, like a breakdown. But deep down, I knew. I knew something followed me. On day 3, Adam finally called. Blocked number. I didn't hesitate, I answered. His voice was hoarse, almost like he'd been screaming for hours. He said one thing, don't go back. No matter what, don't go back. Then the line went dead. I tried calling back. Nothing. Tried tracing the call. No luck. Then, that night, my dad came into my room, pale as a sheet. He said there was someone outside. A man standing across the street, staring at the house. He didn't knock. He didn't move. Just stood there under the streetlight with his hands behind his back. When we finally worked up the nerve to call the cops, they showed up 20 minutes later. The man was gone. But they found something nailed to the mailbox. A copy of the photo of me sleeping. Except this time, Adam was in the frame too, standing in the corner of the room, face blurred. But here's the thing. That night, he wasn't there. That was the moment I realized, this wasn't about Adam running from something. He was hiding me from something. Back at my place, the new security system had gone live, and I could check the cameras from my phone. I hadn't looked in days, but now something in me had to. I logged in just after midnight and scrolled through the footage. Everything looked normal, until I checked the front porch feed. At exactly 2:13 a.m. the night before, the screen glitched for a moment, just a flicker. Then a figure appeared, tall, motionless, head tilted at a strange angle. Like before. Except this time, they had something in their hand. A key. They didn't even knock. They walked straight in. The system didn't flag it. No alarm. No broken entry. Just, allowed. I watched in horror as the figure disappeared inside, then walked calmly out 15 minutes later, still holding the key, but this time also carrying something else. My grandfather's pocket watch. The one that sat on the fireplace mantel, untouched for years. Why that? Why now? I drove back the next day, against Adam's warning. I needed to see it for myself. The house looked untouched from the outside. I stepped inside cautiously, heart pounding. Everything was still in place, except the mantel. The watch was gone. But there was something else there now. A folded note, written in handwriting that made my blood run cold. It said, "You left the door open. We appreciate your hospitality." And under it, tucked behind a photo of Adam and me as kids, was another Polaroid. Only this time, it wasn't of me sleeping. It was of me standing in the doorway of my parents' house, smiling. But I've never seen that photo taken. Because I never stood there. And I sure as hell wasn't smiling. I left the house without touching anything else. Didn't even shut the door behind me. I just drove. No music. No destination. Just road. My hands were shaking so badly I had to pull over twice just to catch my breath. Because that photo, it wasn't just creepy. It was impossible. The background, the time of day, the clothes I was wearing, it was exactly what I'd worn the morning I arrived at my parents' house. Same lighting, same shadows on the brick porch. But no one had taken that picture. No one had even seen me arrive. I was sure of it. And then came the worst thought of all. What if I didn't leave the door open? What if something is copying me? Imitating me? I called Adam again. Voicemail. I left a message. Told him everything. Begged him to call me back. Then I did something I swore I wouldn't do. I opened one of the corrupted audio files on the USB. The file was silent at first. Then a low, scratchy whisper started building. I couldn't make out the words until I cranked the volume all the way up. And even then, I almost missed it. "You're not the first," it hissed. I dropped my laptop. As I scrambled to pick it up, something even more disturbing caught my eye. In the reflection of the black screen, just for a second, I saw a figure behind me. Not standing. Hanging. Just hovering in the air like it was dangling from an invisible string. When I turned around, there was nothing there. But the air was cold. Heavy. Like something had been there. And that's when the power went out. I sat in the dark for over an hour, clutching a flashlight, barely breathing. I didn't hear anything. No footsteps. No creaks. Just silence. Until the flashlight flickered, and a voice whispered from the hallway. "We remember your brother." I didn't run. I wanted to, but something told me if I moved, it would follow. So I sat frozen, in that circle of dim, flickering light, gripping the flashlight like it could protect me from whatever had just spoken. The hallway was pitch black. I waited. Eventually, the power came back on, lights buzzing back to life one by one like nothing had happened. I jumped at every sound, half expecting something to crawl out of the walls. But nothing did. Not yet. The next morning, I packed everything and left again. Back to my parents. I didn't care if they thought I was losing it. I probably was. But at least there, I could pretend to be safe. Until I saw what was waiting on my childhood bed. It was the watch. My grandfather's watch. But it was ticking backward. And underneath it was a folded sheet of paper with a single sentence, printed in black ink. "Your brother broke the circle. You're the tether now." I didn't even know what that meant. I still don't. But something about those words made me feel like I was already too late. I called every number I had for Adam. Still nothing. I called mutual friends. One of them, Greg, finally answered. Said Adam had come to see him a week ago, looking paranoid as hell, ranting about things that didn't make sense. Symbols. Echo people. A place in the woods where time didn't work right. Then Greg said something that made my skin crawl. He said Adam told him I'd already been taken. That he was trying to stop it from happening again. Greg didn't know what he meant. Neither did I. But suddenly, that photo of me standing on my parents' porch, the one I never posed for, made sense. It was me. But not the me who lived here. Not the one who survived. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Not with that watch ticking backwards on my nightstand like some kind of countdown. Not after what Greg told me. Not after realizing that whatever this was, it had already touched me. Maybe it was already inside me. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I drove to the coordinates Adam had written down. The burned-out hotel, Green Hollow Inn. The place I swore I'd never go. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't leave a note. Just grabbed the USB, the envelope, and the watch, and went. It was worse than I imagined. The building was half collapsed, gutted by fire, windows shattered like jagged teeth. Nature had started reclaiming the place, ivy snaking up walls, moss coating the entrance steps. And yet, something about it felt preserved. Like whatever happened here had frozen the building in time. I stepped inside. Immediately, the air changed. Colder. Denser. Like breathing through cotton. My phone stopped working the second I crossed the threshold. Dead. Not even a flicker. I wasn't surprised. The inside was scorched charred wallpaper, burned furniture, blackened door frames. I wandered through the halls with a flashlight, heart pounding, the watch in my pocket still ticking backward like a warning. Then I found the lobby. And at the center, someone had carved a circle into the floor. Charcoal. Ash. Symbols I didn't recognize surrounding it. And in the middle of the circle? A single Polaroid photo. Of me. Taken today. Wearing the same clothes I had on right then. Standing exactly where I was now. I staggered back, heart racing, but the floor creaked behind me. I spun around and saw him. Adam. Or something that looked like him. Smiling. Eyes empty. He opened his mouth, and the voice that came out wasn't his. It was mine. I froze. Hearing my own voice echo out of Adam's mouth shattered something in me. It wasn't just mimicry, it was exact. The same pitch, the same breath patterns. I was staring at my brother, but hearing myself. It took a step forward. Then another. The circle on the floor began to glow faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. My instincts screamed to run, but my legs wouldn't move. It was like the room itself was holding me in place, feeding on my panic. Then it spoke again, but this time in Adam's voice. He gave himself up to keep you out. But you came anyway. I couldn't speak. Now the circle is whole again. And just like that, everything went dark. When I woke up, I was outside the hotel, lying face down in the gravel. The USB, the envelope, the watch, gone. My phone had power again, but the date was wrong. It was 5 days later. I had missed nearly a week. I drove home in a daze. My house was unlocked, but nothing seemed touched. No new notes. No strange photos. But on my bed, there was something waiting. The watch. It was ticking normally again. And underneath it, a note in Adam's handwriting. You're safe. For now. Don't break the circle again. I haven't heard from him since. No messages. No sightings. Nothing. The police never found a trace of him. Not at the hotel, not at Greg's, not anywhere. It's like he disappeared. But every night at 3:23 a.m., the lights in my hallway flicker once. Just once. And I swear, for half a second, I hear someone whisper. Remember me. I don't sleep much anymore. And I keep every door locked tight. But deep down, I know the truth. I never left the circle. And it never left me.